Failing to plan is planning to fail. In your real estate journey of buying a home, which is coming up, and if it isn't, then this is not the right video for you, but if it's coming up anytime in the next year or two, we want you to have a great plan around buying your next home. Okay, so that's what we're gonna go over in this video is a 90-day game plan for you and your family to successfully navigate this real estate market. So here's what I usually see. I see a lot of people that do what's called the doom scroll, the Zillow doom scrolling, where they go on Zillow and they're looking at properties and they see great properties and they come and they go off the market very, very quickly. In fact, I've got a friend that is looking for a house right now, and that's exactly what he does. He sees these great properties, they're coming and going, and he keeps texting and calling me and saying, Mike, I'm missing these houses. Well, here's the problem. He has not hired a real estate agent. He has not gotten pre-approved. So he is not ready to take action when the right property comes up. So what we're gonna do in this video is arm you with a plan. So this is a 90-day action plan for you and your family to successfully find and buy and close on the home that you want. So first thing, I'm gonna break this up into 3 parts. The first part is the planning phase. Second part is the home looking phase. I'll talk about that a little bit. And then third part is the closing phase. So the first part is the planning phase, which is 10 days. So day 1 and day 2, I want you to find a great real estate agent. And when I say great real estate agent, I'm not talking about that family member or the friend or the cousin that just got their real estate license and you really want to help them out. I'm talking about a true professional, somebody with a ton of 5-star reviews, somebody with a ton of experience, someone that is a great negotiator because they can save you thousands on a home purchase. So if you take a look at like our Google reviews, we have over 2,800 Google reviews. We are the most reviewed real estate team and brokerage in the state of Michigan, period. And reviews matter. They actually mean something. So you're gonna wanna ask your real estate agent that you're interviewing, and I would interview 2 or 3, a couple of different questions. And in fact, I did an entire video on what questions to ask during a real estate agent interview here. Once you've secured a real estate agent, the second thing you're gonna do is you're gonna go find your great lender. Now, a great lender can be found through a couple of different methods, but your real estate agent should have a great lender partner for you. And if they don't, then, well, they're not gonna recommend somebody bad, right? Because that reflects just as poorly on them as it does on, let's say, a crappy lender. And nobody wants that. Before you call that lender, the next thing you're gonna do, and this is day 2 and 3, is you're gonna sit down and actually write out your budget. First, we're gonna say, okay, what is our gross income? What is our net income? What are we paying right now in rent or our current mortgage payment? Is that a comfortable number for us? Is it not comfortable? Let's say you're paying $1,500 a month now and you're like, you know what? I can go up to $1,800 and it's a good life. Or I would rather be at $1,200 and free up some discretionary income. So take your income and then minus out all your expenses. This is very important. I find that every single client that takes the time to do this will literally find anywhere between $100 and $300 per month of what I call vampire expenses. For me, and I do this every 6 to 8 months, for me, the last time around, I found my vampire expenses were like Disney Plus and Hulu. Like I watch Netflix, but I haven't actually logged in and watched Disney Plus in like 6 months. Even though I'm a big Star Wars fan and I love that kind of thing and it's only on Disney Plus, I just hadn't watched it. So that's like $18 a month that I could cancel. There are little vampire costs that just reoccur and ping your credit card every single month. We want to get rid of all of that, just not to pay stuff that we don't use. So when you're looking at your budget, take a look. And what I see people do is they use percentages. And this is why we want to go with the budget first, then talk to the lender. A good lender is going to tell you, well, lending guidelines for certain loans will say you can spend up to 28% or 30% or 36% of your income towards your house payment. I really don't care. I really don't care about the percentages. That makes no difference to me. The reason why it makes no difference to me is because this is more about what you're comfortable with and the lifestyle you want to lead. There are some people that are more homebodies and they want a big home. I support it. I'm good with it. That's their choice. For me, I live in a much smaller home because I prefer to have the discretionary income to do things like travel. I love going to visiting new countries, that's just me, so I don't want that ballooned house payment for a house that I'm not gonna be in all the time because I might be in Mexico or Spain or England or I don't know, wherever I feel like going. When you talk to your lender, ask them for 2 numbers. 1, what is the max amount I can get pre-approved for, just so you know. And then second, what could I buy at this number, at my budget number, at my comfort zone number, because that's the actual important number. Personally, as a real estate agent, when I'm working with buyers, I don't care how much they can get pre-approved for, but what's the payment that you want? And how does that correlate to a sales price? If you can get approved for $1 million, but you're more comfortable at the $300,000 range, that's what I want to know. So then days 4, 5, and 6, you're going to want to get together your needs and wants list. So take a piece of paper. You can use Excel or anything else if you want to. I like paper. Draw a line down the middle. On the left side, write needs. On the right side, write wants. Okay, let's say you have 2 kids. So you're gonna need a certain number of bedrooms, or maybe a certain yard size, or a certain distance to where the kids are going to school, if they're in a specific school, or whatever that looks like, right? And then you're gonna want your wants on the right-hand side, where it's like, these are the nice to have things. I wish for it in a home, but if I don't get it, that's okay. So like for me, I would like to have a pool. Do I need a pool? No. But if it has it, that's nice. I want that. I would be more likely to go see a home that has a pool than does not. Now you want to do this with your partner, spouse, family member you're buying a home with, whomever's involved. And the reason is because I see this all the time where this discussion, this conversation is missing between those 2 people. Let's say husband and wife. You walk into a home and one of them absolutely loves it and one of them's like, this is not for me, bro. Like, I don't want that to happen to you. I want to create the least amount of friction in your personal life, in your relationship as possible. That's actually very important because buying a home can be stressful. So now we have our needs and our wants list. We've got our lender, we've got our realtor partner. Next up, I want you to identify a home inspector. The reason why I want you to put the home inspector on your team and then put all your team members together, introduce them to each other so they have a good working relationship, is because the best home inspectors are backed up right now. I can tell you with experience, my home inspectors are booking 5+ days out because they're in high demand. I want them to know you and have a relationship with you up front now. So when we call and say, we have a house under contract, I need you there in 3 days, they're gonna actually do that instead of back burnering you because you're just a cold call out of the blue. Right? They don't know if you're serious or not. They don't know if you're actually gonna pay for the home inspection because that happens sometimes, right? There are buyers that they will set up a home inspection, they get cold feet and change their mind and then cancel it. And now I've got a home inspector that goes unpaid and has wasted time that they could have filled with another appointment. Then last couple of days, 8, 9, 10, you're gonna plan your exit. Are you leasing a property or an apartment? How many months do you have left on the lease? We need to know that as your real estate agent lender so we can help try to coincide the closing and coincide your shopping time so that you're not making double payments, or at least not very many double payments. We want to make this as cheap for you and save you as much money as possible. That's what your team's there for. What if you have 6 months left on your lease? At that point, you're going to want to take that lease, get it over to me. Feel free to send it to me. Happy to review any lease in any state. There are a lot of get out of jail free clauses in a lot of leases, and especially in different states that have different rules and different laws, where you might be able to actually use something to get out of that lease early. If not, here's what I recommend I see several clients do. I see clients that will find the perfect home, they'll find the unicorn home, but they still have 6 months left on their lease, and that's really expensive, making double payments for like 6 months. So I'd advise going to your landlord and saying something like, hey, what if I gave you 2 months? Would you forgive the other 4? A lot of landlords are going to take that deal because rentals are tight right now and they know they can just go release that thing in 30, 45 days without too much of a problem. As a landlord myself and having rentals, I have taken that deal multiple times. Not guaranteeing it, but I'm saying that that's an option you can present to your landlord. Most of the time, people I find are pretty reasonable. If you find a solution that's a win-win for both of you guys, you'll be able to navigate that. Do you have a home to sell? Awesome. Get your agent out there as fast as possible so they can give you the punch list of what to take care of and what to do to prepare your home for market so you're getting the most money possible. Here's the problem that I see. I see a lot of people, they find the home that they want, so they're rushing their home to market, and then they're leaving money on the table because there are a couple things they could have done to stage their home better, make their home look better, really making that thing shine. I don't want to lose you money, so I want to get out there fast. Also, I see a lot of homeowners do things of their own volition that don't actually make them any money. It's a complete waste of money. In fact, I've got several videos on this channel on that. Also, subscribe because we drop new videos about home buying, selling, and Metro Detroit in different cities all the time. Every single week, we're dropping new videos. Thank you. Next up, we are going to go into what's called the home shopping phase. So this lasts about 50 days, typically, right? The reason why I want to do the planning up front, also, I want to note this, is because I want to extend the home shopping phase as far as possible. I want as many days to allow for that great home to come to market for you to find it and you and your family to find it and get it under contract as possible. Again, what I see is a lot of people drag their feet on the plan and then they only have a week or 2 or 3 to be able to find that great home, so they have to settle for what's there instead of waiting for the right one. Here's what I like to do, and I recommend you do with your agent. You sit down with your agent, you pull up the multiple listing service, and you look at the areas and the neighborhoods, and not only what's available, because there's probably not too much available right now, but most importantly, what has sold in the last 90 days or 6 months, what that looks like. Because you want to know if your needs and wants are realistic and they match the neighborhood. Yeah, sure, it's a great neighborhood, it's a great location, but does it have homes that meet your needs? And more importantly, do they have it within your budget? Are the homes in your area going below asking, at asking, or above asking? And that's different, even across Metro Detroit. Different cities and different neighborhoods are going at different rates. If we're in Bloomfield and we're higher end, most of those homes are going below asking. If we're in Royal Oak and we're a nice mid-grade, maybe a second or a third home, or even a first home for people, a lot of those are going above asking right now. It's gonna change depending on where you're looking and what type of home you're looking for. It's all supply and demand, guys. It's all supply and demand. Next up, and this is the one thing that I really want you to do, go to the neighborhoods. I don't care if there's a property there for sale or not. Just go. Just once you've narrowed down to your 3 or 4 top pick neighborhoods, literally take an afternoon or early evening, go drive to the neighborhood, park the car, get out and walk. Literally walk around the neighborhood. See who's there. See what it feels like. Is it a quieter neighborhood? I like a quiet neighborhood because I'm an introvert. Are there a lot of kids? Are there no kids? Is that important to you? Do you have kids and you want your kids to have friends of a similar age? Literally take an hour and just walk each neighborhood that you're looking at, that you've got an eyeball on. I think what you'll realize is half the neighborhoods you're gonna just fall in love with, and then the other half, you're gonna be like, ugh, this is not for me. Also take a look at the amenities of the various neighborhoods. Do you want something with a community pool? Do you want something with a lake access or a beach access? Do you want something with a playground? All of those things you're gonna find out real quickly by walking around that you may not know if you just buy a home and you realize you did not buy in the neighborhood that's the best fit for you and your family. Now you're gonna go see some properties. I advise going to see just at least one home, even if it's not a match, even if it's out of area, if there's nothing on the market in your area, just to see what it's like, because seeing a home in person is very different than seeing it online. So then it's gonna be a hurry up and wait game. We're gonna wait for that right property to come to market, and then as soon as it does, we're gonna jump out and see it. This is part of where the real estate agent you choose matters. Here's why. Everybody in the world wants to make sure they hit all of their kid games. The soccers and the tennises and the basketballs and the footballs and whatever else is going on. Everybody in the world wants to go on a 4-day weekend trip or a vacation or something with their families. They have a right to, and I would not expect a real estate agent to be any different than anybody else. But here's the problem. We just had a client that approached us and said, hey, I was working with this real estate agent and they lost me a house. And I said, I'm so sorry to hear that. How did they lose you the house? And they said, well, they were out of town on spring break with their family and their kids, which is great. I love that for them. Life by design is one of our core values on the team. Here's the problem. The perfect home came on the market, and the next day they accepted an offer, and that agent couldn't get that buyer into the home because they were out of state. That's a problem. And the problem came in that there was no backup for them. There was no agent that's sitting in the back saying, hey, I'm gonna cover you while you're out. Working with us as a team, you're never gonna miss a showing. I've got 60 agents on staff. When I was out of town just a few weeks ago because it was spring break, one of my clients said, hey, I want to see this house. I said, you know what? I'm 5 states away right now, but you're getting in that house, buddy. So I paid one of my agents to make sure they can see that home. Here's the important part of this. They don't need me to know whether or not they like the kitchen, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, all of it. You know, without the real estate agent telling you. Like, I don't have to be like, hey, you like this kitchen because I'm telling you like it. That's not the way real estate works. You know, what you need the expertise of the real estate agent is the local knowledge, the boots on the ground, knowing the market, number one, and number two, negotiating so you save thousands and you get the best price and best terms for you. So that brings us to the next point. You found the house, you want to write the offer. You tell your agent, I'm ready to write the offer. They're going to go through and do a little bit of research with you. They're going to send it to you, or they should. What's been happening in that market? They're going to talk to the agent, find out how many offers they have, what the competition is like. Most importantly, they're going to find out what's important to the seller. Because most of the time to the seller, if you're in the right price range, it becomes the terms that become more important, and that's what clinches and wins the house without having to bid like 20 grand above the next guy. We recently had one where we put it on the market. We had 17 offers come in. 6 of them were very, very similar. We took the one that was actually third from highest because it had the best terms for my seller, and those terms actually put more money in my seller's pocket than either of the next 2 offers. So that's very important that you have a skilled negotiator that knows how to ask the right questions and then take those answers from the other agent, incorporate that into the offer to get you the best price and the best terms and to a successful closing. Again, where a great agent comes in, 35 to 40% of all offers that are accepted do not make it to a closing table. They fall apart for one reason or another. Ours have a 90% close rate. If you are looking for a great agent and you are not in Metro Detroit, we have an extensive network of the top real estate agents, top ranked and rated real estate agents that we've referred people to over the last 24 years. Reach out. I would love to connect you with one of our compadres anywhere across the US. So now we're negotiating the offer. You wrote the offer, you send it over to the seller, or they send it over to the seller, the agent. Let's say it's a house for $400,000, you write $375. Now the seller can do a couple of things. They can either accept it, which is the best case, they can reject it, which sucks, or they can come back and counter it, which is most likely. And they'll probably say something like, okay, I know you offer $375, you come up to $385, it's yours. Great. At that point, you can accept it, reject it, counter it, whatever your prerogative is. This is gonna be your home. Happy to advise, but This is still your home and your purchase and your money. So now we're under contract and the underwriting and the closing sequence begins. First thing is going to be the home inspection. So again, going back and saying, how much work am I willing to do? Depending on what the home inspection finds, you might have to do a lot of work, in which case you can opt out of the contract and say, I'm done, I'm out, this is not the house for me. We just had one last week where the home was beautiful, but the reality is it had $20,000 plus worth of mold, and my client has a kid that has asthma. They don't want to be in that situation. Even if the mold was fixed, they didn't want to be in that situation. So we opted out, got their deposit back, and we zipped over to a different house and found a great one for them. There are people that will say, you know what, I'm okay with that work. And that's okay. Or there are people that will say, hey, I'm okay, but Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you need to either fix the problem or provide for the repair. Put money in escrow and then we'll just handle it after closing ourselves. Bear in mind, every home has 5 to 15 things wrong with it. Built by humans, maintained by humans, it's just the way it is. Next, your lender is going to go ahead and order the appraisal. They're going to wait because they don't want you to have a charge on your credit card for an appraisal for a home that you're not going to buy. But then once you know that you want the home from the inspection, they're going to go ahead and order the appraisal. The appraisal is not to protect you. It sounds like it is, but it's not. It's a value check so the lender knows they're not over lending on a property that's not worth it. So indirectly, it protects you, but the intention is to protect them. Then they're going to go and submit all of it to underwriting, and they're going to come back with what's called a conditional approval, saying, okay, you're fully approved for the home except for these couple of conditions. The 3 big conditions I typically see are updated check stubs. They want to re-verify your income and re-verify you're still employed. Of course, they don't want to loan to somebody that just got laid off from their job. 2, title work. They want to make sure that that home is free of any liens and loans and clouds and encumbrances and debts and tax debts and all of that. Chances are there's going to be a loan on that home. They want to be sure that previous mortgage company is completely paid off and out of first lien position before they put their lien and their mortgage on that home. And then 3rd is the homeowner's insurance. They want to know that you have an active paid for policy on the property before closing. And that just needs to happen a couple of days before closing, really. So you want to call your person, whether they're at Progressive or they're at a brokerage, whatever that looks like, and say, hey, here's the address, here's how old the roof is, here's some details. Your agent should provide you with a multiple listing service sheet to make it really easy on you so you don't have to dive deep and spend a lot of time on the questions. The multiple listing service tick sheet is going to have everything that the home insurance company is going to need. Every once in a while, they'll ask for the seller's disclosure so they know how old the roof is, but that's about it. So now we're clear to close. So what's going to happen next is we're going to set up the final walkthrough, and then we're going to set up the closing. The final walkthrough is very important. A lot of people want to skip it. I advise you not to. There could be damage at the property that they did because they're supposed to maintain that property in the same condition that you saw it in at the inspection, but they don't always do that. Sellers don't always do it. They're human, right? They're human. They could be leaving a lot of stuff behind that you don't want. They're supposed to remove that. Are they going to actually remove it? Or do you need to hire a company to remove it? If so, the seller's got to pay for that. I've had it happen at least 100 times in my career over the last 24 years where I've had to call a seller's agent, or even at the closing if we're doing the walkthrough directly before, and say, be like, hey guys, look, we need to call 1-800-GOT-JUNK and we need them to come and clear all this stuff out of the property. And they gave me back an over-the-phone quote of $1,500. What do you want to do? You want to give them their credit card? You want me to call 1-800-JUNK back right now? Put it right on your credit card? We can do that. We can have you go to the bank, go get a certified check for $1,500, make it out to my client's name. We can do that. But we got to handle it before we sign documents. Because once those documents are signed, our leverageability on the seller is done. So now we have successfully closed on your home. The next step is going to be have a housewarming party and invite me to it. My name is Michael Perna. I'd be honored to get the call to help you find your next home or sell your current one. And I will see you on the next video.